Thanks to everybody who's joined in so far. Obviously, we'll recap what just happened tonight. Huge win over Houston. Talk about the swamp finally being drained for the first time since I was 5 years old. And we'll talk about Vanderbilt game this weekend. It'll be a good show tonight, Jim. How are you feeling after that huge win?
So, for everyone's information, I didn't get to watch the game at all until the last 30 seconds, and it gave me more stress than my whole workday. So, I mean, I've been watching the highlights throughout the day, but I mean, Bishop Boswell, phenomenal game.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacoby Gillespie, I know he didn't play 32 points, again, like against Rutgers, but those free throws were as big as you can. I mean, if he doesn't hit that, you're looking at a different ball game here. And then Jalen Carey, big dog today. I mean, again, Ryan, you brought it up. That was the reason going to get him was the Houston game last year. You got bullied down low, and not today. Not today. Didn't let it happen. So I'm very ecstatic. This basketball team today, again, what did we say when we previewed this season? Was we wouldn't know anything until this tournament.
Yeah.
And this team looks a little scary. I mean,
it's deep. They're versatile. I mean, they're looking good so far. It is only November, but you can't just disregard
top teams here.
You can't disregard beating Houston. I mean,
and shout out to Houston. That's a good basketball team. That team is not going to lose a lot of games this year. They're not going to lose a lot.
And who was the kid you mentioned a few minutes ago? Fleming. He's
that
incredible.
He's a baller. That kid finds his buckets.
And they still have one of their guards from last year, Sharp.
Uzan. Uzan had 17.
Uzan Sharp. Fleming's at 25. I mean, he had his best game.
He hit that big three at the end of the game too to make it even interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like we played perfect either. I mean, obviously, when you play Houston, you're going to struggle a little bit offensively in certain moments of the game. We got down 11 in the first half and closed that first half strong, got it to within 4, and then, man, I think it was almost an 8-minute stretch in the first part of the second half where Houston didn't score, and that's how we surged ahead. And man, we finished from there. I think the score at the under 4 timeout was 60-57, and then both teams just started scoring on every possession. It's like, what? Like, that's not how this game is won at all. But Tennessee kept up with them. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, how often when a team finally hits their offensive stride has Tennessee kept up with them in the past? If we didn't keep up with them, it would have reminded me of the Kentucky game at Rupp last year where they just killed us in the last 4 minutes after we played a good 36 minutes of that game. But like I said, we kept up with them and kept running those pin downs for Gillespie, and he was either shooting or making things happen off of that. Amen had several good passes in those last few minutes to get buckets through. And Carey's play on Akpar's missed free throw, he puts in the first one, misses the second one, he gets that tip in. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, there was obviously several good things to see tonight from this basketball team. But any more thoughts on it, buddy?
No, talk about Gillespie. He reminds me a lot of Sakai. Now, Sakai was a better defender, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But on the offensive end, Jacoby is a better scorer than Sakai is. But the dude could pass just like him. I mean, he's making those lobs. I mean, Zakai's probably, you could argue, a little bit better. But, I mean, Jacoby is everything you could have wanted out of the transfer portal for Tennessee. And not only that, it's a hometown kid. I mean, to be able to play in your home state and, start off 7-0, beating a top 3 team, beating Rutgers by 25. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start for this basketball team. And this win is going to come a long way when it comes to March. It's going to come a long way.
For sure. I mean, Houston and Tennessee. I think they said it near the end of the game. Houston, Tennessee have the 2 longest streaks of being ranked. I think Tennessee's like 80-something weeks in a row. Houston's over 100 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are the 2
I don't
most
see them
consistent.
ending it anytime soon either.
Yeah, these are 2 consistent programs. The most consistent as far as being ranked, at least. But Nate Ament tonight, he goes 1 of 8. He gets his points at the free throw line for the most part. He had that putback on that fast break that Gillespie missed the dunk on. Uh, he's still learning, and I think I mentioned it before we officially got going, Jim. I mean, I don't know how many better defenses he will see than Houston, but I think this will help him in the long run for sure.
Yeah, I mean the kid's incredible. I mean, he's averaging 19, 8, and 3. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking about a freshman here. Like,
Yeah,
and we're not going to see him another year. So you got to realize that this is what you're going to get. We're not used to this stuff, getting these freshman talents like Nate
mm-hmm.
Ament, you know. So, for what we are getting from him, and wait till those 3 start falling.
Like yesterday.
He's going to hit his shots, and when he starts getting that confidence, that kid's going to be a real problem. And especially if you're mixing it with Gillespie hitting his shots and having that front court that we have, this team could go a long way. I mean, you're going through this gauntlet. What did we say before this gauntlet came around? Hey, just take 2, get 2 wins out of this, and we'll be happy. Well, we got our 2 already, so anything's just a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, the competition is here now. I mean, the season has officially started, and we're doing well so far. I mean, I'd say the season started today because Rutgers might be the worst team in Power 5 as far as basketball goes so far. I mean, they do not look good at all. But I think yesterday offensively is what you'll see if Tennessee makes the Final Four this year. Well, you will have to have Gillespie and Ament both clicking at the same time. But I say that now, but as deep as this team is, who knows who could emerge? I mean, Ethan Berg did nothing tonight. He only had 7 minutes. Abram only had 3 points. It was a big shot late in the second half there to put that 3 in, but it was mostly Gillespie, Boswell, and Carey tonight. And then, I mean, and if you were to tell me Boswell and Carey would be a huge part of a win over Houston, I would be like, did we win 49-47?
Yeah.
But no, we scored in the 70s. I mean, it was a performance that I don't think a lot of people expected, and I'm thrilled that we saw it. I mean, it's super exciting to see what this team might do.
I'm very happy for Carey because all the hate he's getting on social media from his old little brother team about his performances. He doesn't. We didn't need him till a game like today. We didn't need him to step up like we needed him to, and he did. He did, and that little tip in was a huge little play that could have changed the game.
Yep.
And but hey, like we talked about, this basketball team's looking great. You still got 3 tough games coming up. Well, technically 4, because if we're going to play the championship game,
I think it is 3. I think you got 1 more in Vegas, and then of course you play Illinois and Louisville.
Yeah, but it says we have Syracuse on the road.
And Syracuse, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm just deleting
and
games.
Syracuse played Houston good.
Yeah. Syracuse, especially up in the Carrier Dome, that will, I don't think it's called the Carrier Dome anymore, but I'm going to call it the Carrier Dome. That'll be a tough game. That might be the toughest game we play out of that stretch, to be honest, just in that road environment. But let's move on, Jim, if you don't have anything else for basketball. We drained the swamp, and it was somewhat effortless. I mean, it looked easy. It looked easy in the first half. Second half, you could say what you want. I know we talked about it a little bit the other day. I mean, we basically just sat on the ball in the second half, and it was fine. I know a lot of people wanted the bloodbath, just biblical evisceration of Florida after all we've been through down there, but I'm okay with a 20-point win. I'm not going to complain about breaking that streak. And like I said, pretty stress-free. What were your main takeaways?
Deshaun Bishop. Tennessee, and the name Bishop is just
It's
something else.
it's pretty
But
good.
I mean, Deshaun Bishop having 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ethan Davis, man, he had himself a game. Scored his touchdown. Defense played pretty well. Again, it hurts more. Like these wins hurt right now more than they should because you're a field goal away.
Yeah.
You are a field goal away.
It's tough.
And I was bringing it up. A guy at work is a big Tennessee fan, and I was telling him, like, I can't imagine being Max Gilbert right now. Like, being like, hey, you hit that field goal. This game coming up is a huge game. And it's a big game regardless. Don't get me wrong. But it should be the opposite. It should be Tennessee fighting for that spot compared to Vanderbilt fighting for a playoff spot. So it hurts a little bit. But overall, team played good. You finally did it. Because think about it, if you didn't win this game, it would have been a little bit till you got to try and beat that streak. Because we're not going to play them every year anymore.
Yeah, it would have been. You don't play them next year at all. The next time you play them is at home. So it would have been, what, 5 years?
Until you 4 or 5, something like that, yeah.
Until you got the opportunity to do it again. So I literally –
I want to shout out Star Thomas too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, the whole offensive attack in that first half was just clicking on all cylinders. And when we did have to punt, we pinned them at the 6 and at the 1. I mean, you really can't ask for a much better performance all around. I mean, the defense, that was their best game of the year by far. I mean, they didn't allow a relevant point the entire game. I mean, and they had that huge 4th down stop, which led to Star's miraculous 3rd and 17 run after the near disaster, which we have come accustomed to in the swamp on that strip sack. And man, we finally got the complimentary football we've been asking for, and it felt so good to not be stressing.
Yeah, but dude, it hurts because this is a playoff team. It is.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
And let's talk about it real quick because I was talking to a guy at work about it. If the NCAA rules Joey being able to play again, you're talking about this whole entire offense minus Brazel and Star Thomas coming back. You have that whole thing. Dwayne Morris going to be there. I mean, Tristan Keys is coming to town. You got the whole offense is back. Most of the defense is back, minus the people you've been missing all year, maybe Colton Hood, but Ricky Gibson should be back. And, I mean, this team, you go get a safety, go get a defensive back out of the portal. This team is going to be mostly back next year. So, phenomenal move. You know, I know it's frustrating. I'm frustrated too because I truly do believe this team is a playoff team. It really is. You shot yourself in the foot in a couple games, and it's coming to bite you in the ass. And
yeah,
that's just my opinion, though. It's tough to think about.
It is, which is why I will choose to be happy. You know,
be Florida in the swamp.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me before the year we do that and maybe finish 9-3, I'd be happy with it. But of course, we've talked about it. You see the way we played against Georgia. You see we should have won that game. It does hurt. I agree with you, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Are you still on the fire Tim Banks train?
Florida's offense has been hit or miss all year, though. It's kind of like I'm not going to make – I'm leaving my pinned tweet up, because Tim Banks doesn't get a free pass because he held Florida to 11 points. He doesn't get a free pass.
I get it. I think we've discussed it the last few weeks since the since we've started to look ahead after the Oklahoma game when our playoff hopes were almost certainly ended. Just about the future and everything. Um, and I think my hypothesis now on how the defense is done this year is Boo Carter, Jamard McCoy, Ricky Gibson. You don't have those three. When you don't have two of your top three corners, your nickel guy, you got to change the way you call the defense dramatically. And that's hurt us in some spots. Some spots, I don't think it was a factor. I think it was just Tim Banks making a mistake. But I would be fine with Heupel keeping Banks just because I've seen him do it before when he has the talent. And I think if we would have had those three guys this year all bought in, talking to you, Boo, it would have been a similar story. And I'm choosing to believe that if the fire Tim Banks train doesn't want to believe that, that's fine. But that's where I'm coming at it, at least right now.
I'm kind of at the point where I really truly believe Boo Carter was a cancer. You remove that cancer, look at the defense play the past two games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, even the Oklahoma game where he didn't play a defensive snap and the defense played pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really believe that. That's a little conspiracy theory of mine. You get Boo Carter out of the situation, and all of a sudden this team has become a little bit better of a team as the season progressed, as weeks on weeks go by without Boo Carter.
Yeah. I mean, they just looked – I don't really – I mean, I understand Florida's terrible, but they just shut the water off on them. I mean, they really – until the game was decided, they had that one play where it got the second play of the game for them on offense. It got called back for that holding, which was a huge break. I mean, that dude did not have to hold to get that ball out, for Lagway to get that ball out. And then they had that drive where Lagway puts together a few runs, and then we end up getting that stop. They missed that chip shot field goal, which is, by the way, one of the best kickers in college football. Missed that 30-something yard field goal. I mean, things just went our way all night. I mean, the things that went against us for the last 22 years down there went in our favor on Saturday night. So
just want to give you an update on the Auburn Tiger Michigan Wolverine game.
I saw that they were getting blasted earlier. Is it still
21-10? 21-10 Michigan right now.
Michigan's good.
Michigan, that would be a fun game to watch, Tennessee versus Michigan. That'd be a real fun game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Any more thoughts on the game in the Swamp? I mean, just it was almost a religious experience for me to watch us just dominate them. I mean, and we've had chances against bad Florida teams down there before, and we just haven't done it. So,
yeah,
anything else on it?
I think the team's coming together. Again, a lot of people aren't thinking about next year because, I mean, you have to at this point. You need some crazy, crazy stuff for Tennessee to even be in the conversation. So I'm going to say the team's coming back next year. If a miracle happens in some way, somehow you can get Joey Aguilar back. For the people saying no, you're crazy. You are absolutely crazy to have a kid that is playing the way he is with 2 months to prepare for a season. Not even, maybe a month.
It was like maybe 2.5 months.
Yeah, you are absolutely nuts, in my opinion, to not want Joey back. Let Faison and George learn under him, and then let them fight out for the backup spot, because you're crazy if you don't want this offense back next year. You're crazy.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say, another ruling like that would hurt freshmen, but in the short term for Tennessee, it would help us tremendously next year, because if you don't get them, you would be relying on another transfer, a redshirt freshman, or a freshman. And it would be nice, like you said, for Joey to have one more year, a full offseason with the keys to the offense. I mean, if he can do what he's been doing this year, for having however amount of time it was, like 90 days or whatever. Imagine what a whole off season of him learning the system will look like. I mean, but yeah, it'll hurt freshmen in the long term and the younger players, but I'm for it for Joey to get an opportunity to come back. So anything else, man? Before
No, I was looking into the women's game. I didn't know they played today. Did they play today?
I'm not sure. I was locked into the men. I don't mean that as a sexist comment. Shout out Derek Billy. I don't know.
I don't think they did.
Well,
They just tweeted 3 hours ago that Barker or Baker had 19 points, 8 rebounds. So I don't know.
Nice. Well, we're going to transition into some Vanderbilt previewing. And we may or may not have a special guest. Some of y'all might know him if you've beefed on Twitter before with Vanderbilt fans. He's not a fan, but he is my friend. I've worked with him before. Some manual labor, but what are your first thoughts on this game, Jim, as we inch closer and closer to this in-state matchup?
I hate this team. Like, I despise Vanderbilt. I hate their fans. I hate their everything about them, especially Diego Pavia. I hate that kid. Like, I don't care. Everyone's like, oh, he's little guy. No, he's a kid that talks shit. And if I'm Tennessee and that defense, I'm wanting to do everything to shut him down. Everything to shut him down. Shut that team up, ruin their playoff hopes, and continue the little brother streak, because you don't talk about my team on a podcast like that and just me forget about it. And I know if I'm feeling this way, I know for a fact that this football team feels this way, because ain't no one talking about this and saying F them, F those guys. Like, no, ain't gonna happen, especially a 5'3" quarterback.
I agree with everything you just said. I mean, we tweeted it earlier this week. I mean, similar trajectory as far as comparing Pavia and Joey Aguilar, and one chooses to be insufferable, practice the victory formation in warm-ups, grab his crotch while he points to the other team student section, and, just like you said, go on podcast and make comments. On a certain level, I like it, but on another level, it's like, act like you've been here before. I don't know. He has gone way overboard with the cockiness and all that. And I've heard that in the facility they are well aware of it, and it is being put on the bulletin board, so to speak. And
should be.
I mean, yeah, it should be. That's all you got to say. As far as his football plan goes, he has been incredible these last few games. I mean, I don't think that's insane to say at all. He will probably get an invite to New York for the Heisman ceremony. I don't think he'll win. I think Mendoza has it in the bag, but
no. If he doesn't go into Neyland and win, he's not going to that. He's not going to New York.
That's a good caveat. I think if he puts up numbers again in Neyland, he'll be there.
Yeah. If he throws for 250, 3 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and beats Tennessee inside Neyland Stadium, then you could talk to me and say, all right, maybe he'll go to New York. I agree. He's not going to win it. But if he does something like that, that's a different story. I think if he loses, no matter what his stats are, if you lose, he ain't going to New York.
Yeah. Well, our special guest has arrived. For those who don't know him, he is a Vanderbilt reporter. We love him. If you've watched us before we started to go live earlier this year, you will have seen him. It is Billy Derrick. Billy, how are you doing?
Great to see you, Bill.
Good, boys. How we doing?
We're fired up for this game.
Perfect timing for our conversation about Diego Pavia.
Yeah, big win for the Vols tonight.
Yeah, we went over it. I mean, It was nice to see. First question: thoughts on Diego Pavia's mom?
Oh gosh, it's funny. I had seen her. Last year she wasn't as much of a. I mean, she really wasn't a story. Obviously, Vandy's on hopefully the cusp of the playoff and in the camera. I thought that was ridiculous. I don't know if y'all watched I'm sure you watched some of the Kentucky game. I mean, it was every run, every pass completion
yeah.
that they were showing her. I mean, it was a little ridiculous. And then she hit the Heisman pose. I mean, I knew that was going viral right that moment. But it's just who they are. I mean, look, it's the Marshall Henderson deal, and kind of that, it's just, it comes with it. And his brothers, it's a part of it, and I know if you ask Clark, he could have done without, the arrest and, but his mom, Pavia, was asked about it earlier today, I think with Chad Withrow and Jonathan Hutton. He said, I love it. He's motivated by that. Like he has to, he has to have them there and see them there. So for him, I mean, look, there's Vandy fans that could do without it. Obviously, I'm sure it's just so funny. Like, who would have thought that would be the story, for a Vanderbilt player, his mom hitting the Heisman pose. And it's funny.
To me, and I just mentioned at the gym, the story about surrounding Diego Pavia right now should be his play in the last few games. He's been incredible in the month of November. And we added this caveat to his Heisman chances, his maybe if he goes to New York or not. If he does that again in Knoxville, I think he's there at the ceremony, no doubt.
Yeah, that's how I am right now. I think it's a tight race. I mean, Mendoza, Sayin, Marcel Reed, not Julian Love, Jeremiah Love, and then Pavia. I think those 5 guys are still in. I mean, maybe they bring. I don't think they bring 5 guys. I think the most they probably bring this year is 4. The last several years they brought 3. But I think, I mean, if you look at his numbers, and I guess they're ignoring his rushing stats too. Like so many of these people will bring up, the debate and Mendoza and Sayin and Reed and their passing numbers. But look at the total touchdowns for Pavia. Look at the total yards and look at how important he is to his team. I'm with you. I mean, if you go to Neyland and beat Tennessee, which a top, I think Tennessee's undervalued right now. I mean, I think, if they're a kick away from beating that Georgia team, same sort of thing against Oklahoma, that's still a really, really good team. And so I think if you do that, I think it's set up perfectly. If you do that and you're Pavia, then you should be in. I think Jeremiah Love, Mendoza, and Pavia right now should be in. I don't, honestly, if you ask me, I don't think Sayin really, I mean, like,
So yeah, he's pretty mid. He's pretty mid.
He's Ohio State's quarterback, so he'll probably be there. So those 4. Who was the other guy? Pavia, Mendoza, Sayin.
Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I think it could be between Reed and, like, if A&M loses to Texas, Vandy beats Tennessee, I think he jumps Reed. Obviously, because Jeremiah Love has to be there. But I mean, he's right there, and I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. I thought. I've thought all along that this Vanderbilt offense, they didn't get an elite receiver in the portal. They didn't have enough. I didn't know how good the offensive line was, but they've just come through in the clutch. And I mean, his last couple of weeks, you can't watch, the last 2 games. And if he continues it in Neyland, he has to be in New York.
Yeah, 100%. Jim, you got anything for Billy that you want to ask?
No, I was kind of ranting about Diego Pavia, but you kind of agreed with me. So, I said the same thing. I said if he doesn't go into Neyland and win, I don't care if they win by 3.
Yeah,
like
I think there's a scenario. If they lose, if Pavia if he throws over 400 yards and they lose by a field goal or something like that, I think you could argue, like, especially if A&M loses to Texas, Reed goes down. Indiana's not going to lose. Ohio State's not going to lose. Notre Dame's not going to lose. So I think your only chance really is A&M losing to Texas. And if it's a close one, close loss, and Pavia still goes off, I think you could argue that. But yeah, I mean, you need to go into Neyland. I know Lamar Jackson wasn't Louisville like 8-4 that year when he won it. But his numbers were just insane. I think he had over 5,000 total yards. So you just had to put him in. Pavia's not there. But yeah, I think you probably need to go in and beat Tennessee and Neyland.
Yeah, I think we are all in agreement. Outside of Pavia, and I'll even add outside of Stowers, who's somebody on Vanderbilt's offense that Tennessee should be watching out for Saturday afternoon /
I would
evening?
have. Yeah, I would have said Cedric Alexander, but he hasn't done a whole lot these last few weeks. Trey Richardson went off against Kentucky. He's not a big guy at all. He's barely 5'10", but he's a burner. He's a he's got elite speed. But he's not just good on the deep stuff. Like he had a couple of long touchdowns against Kentucky, but his third touchdown, it was initially a rushing touchdown. They credit it to be a passing touchdown. It was a little not an option pitch, but a quick screen behind the line of scrimmage. And he can do a lot of that too. Like he can pick up your 15, 20 yards on some of those screen passes, but he can also burn you deep. I mean, I would imagine Tennessee puts their best corner on him, or at least their fastest corner on him. So I would say him. I think Richardson is absolutely the guy to watch, and I think it's kind of tough timing. Tennessee's going to be keyed on him deep, in this game.
Yep.
We know about Stowers. He'll probably be bracketed. Sherrill, I could see. Sherrill and Hoskins. I know I'm going through multiple guys here. Richardson would be my guy to watch, but Sherrill and Hoskins, what do they do? What kind of production do they have? Sherrill, I mean, everybody underperformed in Tuscaloosa for Vanderbilt on offense. It was just a bad offensive day. But if Sherrill goes empty and Hoskins doesn't give you much, and Stowers had a bunch of drops against Alabama too, I'm kind of looking at that Alabama game and the Texas game as a barometer of, okay, you're going into Neyland. I was in Tuscaloosa. I was on the field the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. That was loud. I can't imagine how much louder Neyland's going to be anytime Vandy's on offense. So, it's a tough challenge, but Pavia thrives in it. But yeah, watch out for Trey Richardson. He's a guy. His stats aren't crazy, but he's starting to come on a little bit late, and they'll do some end arounds with him too. He's kind of their gadget guy. But I would say Sherrill has to perform. He can't go empty, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing with Hoskins. Vandy's going to have to spread the ball out.
Yeah. I think when you look at last year's game, Pavia was pretty beat up by the time that game rolled around. I don't think that's the same case going into this one. I think he'll be ready to go almost 100%. I know nobody's 100% at this time of the year. That's the old cliche, but Tennessee's defense will have a challenge. I was looking just at Vanderbilt's schedule, and I have 2 questions for you. What do you think Vanderbilt's biggest win is this year, and are you worried about going into another tough road environment when they've lost to Alabama and Texas on the year, and their biggest win would be at South Carolina with Sellers going out?
Yeah. I mean, I am. Yeah, I mean, you're going into Neyland. It's going to be rocking. Tennessee hates Pavia. Everybody hates Pavia at this point. Look, I would too. It's the Marshall Henderson effect. If he's not on your team, you can't stand him. But if he's on your team, you love him, and he's the reason Vanderbilt's here. He's the reason that Vanderbilt is relevant. I think Vanderbilt will be fine emotionally. Like I don't see them just falling apart and getting blown out. I don't. And I told this to somebody earlier today too. I think if Vanderbilt gets down a couple of scores, whether it's early or third quarter and they need to claw back, I think they can. Like I think their offense is explosive, and they have that element that they didn't have last year. I mean, Vanderbilt was down in the third quarter last year. It was over. I mean, they were only down a couple of scores, but Tennessee dominated the middle 8 there. They scored right before the half, and they scored coming out of the half. I was like, it's over. But I think if that happens this year, Vandy can respond. They can weather that because of Trey Richardson and Pavia. I mean, he, you never know, and he's healthy. He was not. I would say he was 65% maybe in that game last year. You saw a couple of his runs. You knew he was beat up, and he got popped on one of those 4th and 1s. And I thought I was like, he's out after that. But there's no way. But he's kept going. So, you're going to see some of that. He's going to get hit. I mean, Tennessee's they're going to be coming for him. Alabama did the same thing. He got popped early in that game, and he gets up from some hits, and I'm like, how is he getting up? Like this, he knows how to get tackled. He knows how to get crushed, the right way. So that's something to watch. And I'm watching too, just the emotion. Last year you saw some chippiness.
I was going to ask you. I mean, I think there's a high possibility for a repeat of the last time in Neyland where there was helmets flying around and benches clearing.
Yeah. The thing about that is Clark Lee grew up. He grew up in Nashville, went to high school in Nashville. He's grown up with that Tennessee hatred.
Yeah.
He's your class. He's what the Vanderbilt head coach should be growing up. In past year, I know Derek Mason, Tennessee was awful. Like I credit him for those wins, but I don't. This Tennessee's been really good when Clark Lee's been at Vandy, and he's struggled with Heupel's offense. He just has, and Clark's a defensive guy. But I think Vandy's got a player, Colby Taylor, number 3, that I could see some things emerging. He did some talking last year on Nico. Nico let him have it after that touchdown, basically the game-winning touchdown, and that was salt in the wound for Vandy. But I think you go back a couple of years ago. It's kind of funny because Vandy was 2-10, and it got pretty comical. And it was bad. I mean, Swan got they should have called. If they would have just called that originally, it would have been all over. But it was kind of one of those classic Vandy screw jobs. But I think there could be early. Like I think because Vandy's defense is better too than they were last year. They've got their corners are deeper. They're deep at linebacker. They've got a lot of the same guys, but they got healthy. They had a couple of transfer corners that didn't play last year that are back now. They're a little bit bigger on the defensive line. They're not, I don't know how many NFL guys they have, but their defense is they swarm and they'll let you know. This Vandy team likes to talk. It reminds me of Tennessee baseball a little bit.
I was going to say, I think a lot of the Pavia hate can be compared to Tennessee baseball 2022. I mean, I think that's how most people felt, like Tennessee fans watching Pavia. Is probably how everybody felt about Tennessee baseball.
The villain.
Pavia is the Drew Gilbert of that Tennessee baseball
the Drew
team.
Gilbert, Jordan Beck flipping the bird around the bases. I think it's similar.
Yeah, because it's something you've never seen. I mean, Vandy has never acted like this. Really in any sport, but it's because of one guy. It's because of Pavia. So Pavia, the thing about him in game though, he hasn't gotten in many. He doesn't get in those fights. He doesn't let the team get to him. He kind of lets his play do the talking. And it almost, Vandy has players outside of Pavia that will get after you a little bit and talk a lot. Their offensive line, just watch them. I mean, they talk a lot. So I think that Tennessee D line and guys, would y'all agree? This is still a solid Tennessee D line. Like, So I think that's a match. If you're in I'll be on the field. I won't be in the press box. But if you got binoculars, I'll be watching that O line, Vandy's O line, Tennessee's D line. And it's different when Vandy's in Neyland. When Tennessee's in Nashville, it almost still feels like a pseudo road game, and Vandy still has that chip on their shoulder. But when you're in Neyland, it brings it out of you. Especially if you're you're a Vandy guy.
The us against the world type deal.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think that's Vandy's whole deal this year. I mean, nobody expected them to be in the spot they're in. And Jim, I want to hear what Billy says about whatever you're about to say. Where do you think Tennessee's biggest advantage lies against Vanderbilt?
The offense. Tennessee's offense is electric. It's been electric, minus a couple games. I mean, you're talking the Alabama game where could have been a different story at some points. Obviously, that's in the past, but Tennessee is going to air it out. I think you got Joey Aguilar, who's throwing the ball really well. I mean, minus a few miscues, but that's where I think Tennessee is going to have to do its damage. I think this game is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a 38-35, just absolute shootout. And we talked about the field goal. I think this is going to come down to a who has the ball last type game. And can Diego Pavia go do that? Can Joey Aguilar take the Tennessee balls? Can Max Gilbert hit that field goal? Who knows? But I think this game is going to be like that because of Diego Pavia being able to run. You have Stowers, and then obviously the Tennessee offense. We could talk your ear off with 3 guys in the 700s. I mean, that's hard to cover. I mean, I know you were talking about your defensive backs being better than last year, but I think Tennessee's wide receiver room is way better than last year. And now Ethan Davis is coming in the picture, catching some footballs. It makes it tough, but that's my opinion. I think it's going to be an absolute offensive fest Saturday for both teams, and we'll see who comes out on top. I think obviously I'm going to give the edge to Tennessee because you're at home, and that whole ordeal with Diego Pavia talking that smack all year. That defense has been drooling to get to him. So that's my opinion. that's my opinion on the game. So I'm kind of curious to see what you have to say about it.
Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Vanderbilt's 2 losses, didn't Texas and Alabama both throw for like over 300
Yep.
yards?
Yeah. They lit Vandy's defense up, and it was opposite in both games. In the first half, Vandy limited Alabama through the air. They actually had an interception of Ty Simpson on their first possession, and Vandy was up at the half, and you thought, oh my gosh,
Might happen.
Is this thing going to happen? But Bama dominated the second half. They dominated time of possession. They manned Vanderbilt up on defense, and they said, "Go beat us with your receivers." And Bama's corners those are some of the best corners I've seen. I mean, some of the plays on the ball they made, and Vandy they played so poorly in the second half on offense. But in the Texas game, Vandy didn't wake up till the third quarter. I mean, Texas was up by, I think, 3 scores at the half. I mean, it was awful. But then they woke up and they showed they can come back. I know Texas was playing some prevent, and they probably had some backups in there. But, I mean, still it got to the point where they were an onside kick away from sending it to overtime. I mean, so, that's the weakness for this team. On the perimeter, they are not – they're not equipped. They don't have – the talent and the speed on the outside to compete with, and a lot of teams don't. I mean, when you're playing the SEC, they've got dudes at receiver. When you're facing Ryan Williams and Bernard and Horton, and Tennessee's got 3 guys over 700 yards, and same thing with Texas. Auburn had Coleman made some ridiculous catches. Yeah. That's where Tennessee's going to make their hay. I think the thing in this game that I'm watching, does Aguilar turn the ball over? Mm-hmm. Does he throw? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it probably has to be a couple of interceptions. If it's one interception, maybe that doesn't kill Tennessee, but a couple of interceptions. I think this game has to look, at least for Vanderbilt's defense, it has to look like the Oklahoma game. Vandy doesn't have the defense Oklahoma has, but that's what kept Oklahoma in it. A Max Gilbert missed kick and a couple of Aguilar interceptions. So I think that's what it has to look like for Vanderbilt. If they don't force any turnovers on Tennessee, I have a hard time finding a route for Vandy to win. Yeah. But the other thing, guys, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be in the I think mid 40s, 50s. So yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't think it has a huge effect, but maybe it ends up being colder, and that as it gets darker, I don't know. Does that affect the passing game? I mean, I don't think so, but
I mean, I guess the thought process would be when it's colder, it's more of a smash mouth game. You're more running the ball and not airing it out as much because.
But we're not talking about the 15s, 20s, so it may not make that big of a difference. Yeah. But if it was raining, that's the other thing. I think if you're Tennessee, you're glad it's not raining, because look, Tennessee can still run the ball. That's the other thing. If Tennessee's able to run the football,
it's wraps.
Vandy's in trouble, because Vandy's defense all season has been really good against the run. And I know, Tennessee still got Bishop and Star Thomas, who actually is really close with a lot of those Vandy guys that played at Mexico State. He was on that team. So I think if Tennessee can run the ball, Vandy might be cooked in this game.
Yeah. You might have just glossed over it earlier. What do you think Vanderbilt's best win on the year is?
Oh, their best win. I think it's Missouri at home. Missouri is a team they were hovering around the top 25 at the time. They were the number 15 team in the country. And the thing about Vandy this year, let's listen to this. They went into Virginia Tech at night and beat. I know the record's not great, but that's not easy to do even if they're a mid Virginia Tech team. Remember, they got Brent Pry fired. That was the game that got him fired. And then you look at the South Carolina game. I know but it was a Langston Patterson hit on Sellers. So, I mean, you've got to give Vandy some credit for being the team that knocked him out. Again, Carolina's not great. So Vandy really they might have done it to themselves in a weird way. Like and then you hurt Prabula.
Yeah.
Missouri fans were upset that he twisted his leg. I mean, I think to a degree it's kind of messed up, but Vandy got the quarterbacks hurt, in a way. I'm like, it's kind of crazy to say, but that's probably Tennessee's goal against Vandy. I mean, you don't want him in the game. So I think it was
last year Tennessee knocked out. I think in the first 6 games they knocked out the opposing team's quarterback.
Yeah. So I think at some point, you got to give the team credit for that. Same with LSU. I don't think LSU. I picked Vandy in that game, but LSU was the number 10 team in the country. Both teams were 5-1. I think it's the Oregon Penn State thing where you could be that team to start the downfall. I mean, Vandy, that win got Kelly fired. Yep. So, unfortunately for Vandy, those wins now don't look great, and they don't look like wins that could put them in the playoff. But I'd say Missouri. I guess you could argue at South Carolina because it was on the road and they walloped them. Yep. But that South Carolina team's kind of lifeless. I mean, they haven't really done a whole lot this year. So I still think Missouri's pretty solid at defense, and I know Zollers is rolling with them now. But I'd say Missouri.
Yeah, I mean it is because before the season you'd look at Vanderbilt's schedule and say, wow, this is a gauntlet. And now just looking at it, and based on the rankings that just came out an hour or two ago, they're sitting at 14 on the outside looking in. When before the season, you're like, this is no doubt top 10 team if they're 9-2 and done what they've done. But it's funny. College football is funny. So, Jamie, you got any more thoughts on this one before we wrap up here? We try to keep these under an hour, Billy. Just keep everybody's attention span nice and locked in. I don't blame you. I don't want to sit here and yap all night, but Jim, anything else?
No, I think we're all looking at a really good game this weekend. I think, like we talked about, I mean, Tennessee field goal away from this being a play-in game. I mean, both teams. Again, I know Tennessee's defense has been way better the past 3 games. Mm-hmm. Billy, I don't know. I don't think you heard me when I said it. I think this whole ordeal was because Boo Carter got out of the situation. And ever since he isn't in the room, this defense is just miraculously better. Like, I don't know what happened. You remove that little cancer and all of a sudden. So, again, I don't know. Are we going to get that Tennessee defense? Or are they going to play really well against Vanderbilt? Because if they do play decent, how they've been playing, I could see this being a big blowout. But again, my personal opinion, I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. I think this is going to be take the over type game.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm going to end it. I think, I predicted this game to be like 38-35. I'll take Tennessee because they're the home team. But I think this is going to be a very, very good game to be at.
Yeah. It's going to be so fun. I mean, I haven't been this excited for a Vandy Tennessee game ever. And so
why don't you put me in your backpack so I could just I'll take care of Diego myself, right?
You can't say that.
I wouldn't do that.
Billy, is this the biggest football game in Vanderbilt history?
Yes. I think you go. I mean, they've been saying that the last 6-7 weeks. I didn't mean to do that, but
stop. Get out of here.
But seriously, like Missouri was the biggest. Game day. This is the biggest. They got to win this to stay on track, and then. Then Auburn, and it just kept climbing, so, and it's going to be fun to just see like how many, is it as rowdy as you would expect, in Neyland? Because I'm interested in that, and can Vanderbilt get the crowd out of it? That is so important in Neyland. Like if Tennessee gets out to a big start and they can run the ball, I think Vandy's in trouble. But yeah, it doesn't get much bigger and better and more fun than this for Vandy fans and Tennessee fans. I wish both teams were 9-2. I mean, how fun would that be?
Oh my God, this would be college game day.
Oh yeah.
We didn't hold up our end of the bargain, but it's still going to be a huge one.
Gilbert.
The clash of styles on both offenses. It'll be interesting to watch. I'm on Jim's side. I think it'll be I think both teams will get into the 30s. I mean, I think both offenses will be ready. I think it'll come down to which defense can make the play that swings the game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Billy talked about that interception. You get that. You get who wins the turnover battle. I think will be a huge. And if no one turns the ball over, we're looking at 40-something to 40-something. So
yeah. I think if Vandy, like I said, if they can't turn it over and Tennessee is rolling and they can't stop that momentum, good luck. And if it starts to look like last year and Vandy can't defend the perimeter, there's some early signs that we'll know if Vandy's in trouble. And Vandy typically they've won almost every toss this year, and they've taken defense first.
Tennessee's
Meanwhile,
lost
Tennessee,
almost.
Yeah. Now it's going to be the opposite. Just to let you know now.
This will be the one
opposite.
game Tennessee wins the toss and take the. Will they take the ball first? Do they typically?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I think Hype will definitely take defense first.
Yeah,
Okay.
just being at home, you probably put your defense out there first. Just
Yeah.
But
yeah.
any more thoughts? Anybody?
No, I can't wait. Again, it's gonna be so fun. And again, I'll be there, so I'll have coverage.
I think we'll all be there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you going, Ryan?
Yeah, I can see in tickets. YY6.
Wow.
So,
YY6. Yeah, we'll see how many Vandy fans are there. I know when
chairbacks.
I think it was 2014. There was a good amount of Vandy fans there, but we'll see. I know
2013.
13. Was that when Robinette ran it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know Vandy fans are kind of stuck up about Knoxville. They're like, nah, I'm not. Why would we go to Knoxville?
Yeah,
I think
if you're a playoff,
I know. If you're a Vandy fan, I don't know how you're not at least in Knoxville. Or on your way up and finding a way to get tickets. And if you're a Tennessee fan, go ruin the season. That's the motivation.
That's my motivation to the team. Is you're out, but you don't want little brother in. You know what I mean? And that's the first thing I'm saying if I'm Heupel. And I'm playing that Diego Pavia podcast on Bussin' with the Boys, where he's talking about F everybody on that team, all this stuff. That's what I'm playing. And as a competitor in any sport, you're gonna go, all right, let's go. And both teams are gonna be like that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So that, like you said, the helmet throwing, that's gonna happen because both teams are gonna play with a lot of emotion Saturday.
100%.
I think there's going to be another fight. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be can't miss television for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a good one, but that'll do it for us. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. If you didn't see it from the start, we'll be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts tomorrow. And go Vols.
Go Vols, baby.
Go Doors.
There you go.
We let it in. You got to let that in.